I thought that with my resume, it would have been a lot easier to find a job, but this is definitely a much tougher job market than I've ever navigated. After going at it myself for about 2 months and not getting any traction, I was getting pretty frustrated. I was really concerned about was paying a lot of money to someone who was, really good at selling coaching courses, but not good at actually coaching someone through it. I am director of product at a company called Toric.
Hey everyone, we have a very special guest today, Miles Kodenker, who will be joining me.
Hey, thank you.
So for everyone who's watching, just tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what do you do, what you're doing in the past, so that we get to know you.
Yeah, sounds good. So I've been a PM for about 10 years, made the switch from a developer and worked at a Series A startup, kind of just figuring it out on my own for my first job. Over the years, I've worked at lots of companies of various sizes. Some of the highlights were Map Anything, which was acquired by Salesforce. I was there from 50 employees to 200. Then ServiceTitan, which went from 1 billion to 10 billion valuation while I was there. And then most recently at Google, where I was working on some of the early applications of large language models.
Cool. So you've had a storied career, even like before joining Intentional Product Manager, Intentional Job Search. So let's go back. I want to revisit. When you looked up IPM, however you came across this, what was life like and what were the core problems you were looking to solve?
I thought that with my resume, it would have been a lot easier to find a job, but this is definitely a much tougher job market than I've ever navigated. And through the course of the program, I also realized that I was never being truly intentional about my job search. I was just kind of taking good opportunities as they fell in my lap. I hadn't applied for a job in like 8 years or something. After going at it myself for about 2 months and not getting any traction, I was getting pretty frustrated, and I realized that look, you can't just try to power through this on your own. What you're doing isn't working. Why don't you get some help from someone who's specialized in product managers? I really didn't want to go with any kind of coaching agency that didn't have that specialization, because I think that the interview process and what you look for is fundamentally different for PMs.
100%. Totally agree. With Google and everything, you realized there were challenges. I'm sure when you looked at us, you spoke with my team, you must have had some hesitations on, hey, why should I join these guys? Give voice to that. Tell me, what were the hesitations that you...
Yeah, there's that saying, those who cannot do, teach. And what I was really concerned about was paying a lot of money to someone who was really good at selling coaching courses, but not good at actually coaching someone through it. And, part of my decision criteria, it was nice that both of the co-founders of IPM had worked at a top tier company before. Mm-hmm. But, what really sealed the deal for me was during the intro call, I was specifically looking for some actionable takeaways and good advice right from the very beginning. And you were able to deliver on that, which made me feel much more comfortable with paying the money.
Perfect. So you saw some value, then you jumped in, you decided to join us. Then let's go back and talk about your first few weeks. Were there any surprises, anything different than what you had expected? Anything that particularly delighted you? Just curious to hear about the first few weeks with us.
One of the things that really stood out was, when I joined the program, I was already in the middle of my job search and actively in the pipeline for a bunch of interviews. So it was really helpful that the team, understood that situation and adjusted the course to my needs in order to make sure that I performed well on a lot of those early interviews. So I really appreciated the flexibility from the team, because I know that it must not have been easy to adapt it that way. Just because I have worked at a bunch of different types of companies of various sizes and on various types of problems, I was going in presenting myself as a Swiss Army knife that could do anything. And while, that might be true for the most part, I don't think it was a very effective pitch for myself. I really needed to get down to what I really wanted to spend my career doing, talk about why I'm a great fit for that specific company. So it just was a really nice realization because I felt a lot more comfortable turning down inbound interest from companies that didn't align with my goals, and rather than just like taking those interviews as practice. And I noticed a lot more traction with hiring managers when I gave them a much more honest opinion on like what I did want to do and what I didn't want to do.
Excellent point. Like I want to highlight this for folks that if you're not clear on what you want to do, like it comes across. It is very clear to the hiring manager that this person is just saying it just for the purposes of like trying to make it to the next round, versus when there's genuine thought and intent that this is what I want to do, this is why this company fits into what I want to do. Like people want to be part of your growth and your success, which is what you very successfully did. So that was pretty awesome. Then let's talk more. So as you went through and then ultimately you landed the role you're at currently. By the way, like tell us more. What was the final role that you ended up at?
I am director of product at a company called Toric. They basically built their initial revenue by providing a way for like the construction industry, which is like very behind as far as modern data infrastructure, a way to build out their data pipelines and visualizations so they can make more money and get to insights faster. Now we're pivoting to be more cross-market and not just for the construction industry. And the goal is to make building AI tools much more accessible to companies that may not have the expertise currently.
Amazing. I think Slack is an example of that, where their docs, if you see their release notes, it's a differentiator. And they do really cool.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So, but tying that back to now the program, like what were aspects of the program that ultimately helped you the most in this journey and in landing this role?
I think it was it was just a big time, stress, and sanity saver. It's very hard to go through the interview processes without a clear like feedback loop for how you're improving and what you can be doing better. So, maybe I could have put together the same insights if I had done tons of hours of studying and like deep introspection and like annoyed all the people in my network to like get their feedback.
Yeah.
But the price I paid for the program is like a small price to cut out all of that stress. Probably added years to my life.
The job search is, no matter what we call it, it's a stressful time. Where like, especially they're looking full time, like all those things ended up. How did your coaches and like peer community help out in this regard?
I liked it that the coaches gave it to me straight. They weren't jerks about it, but they also didn't like pull any punches with the feedback either. And that's partially because like I specifically told them not to pull any punches. So it really felt like they took the time to like listen to me and like listen to what my needs were, because I witnessed them interacting slightly differently with other students who had different learning styles and coaching needs. So that was really, really helpful.
Okay, so I'll ask the last question now, just like thinking of other people who might be considering intentional job search. Who do you think is this a good fit for, and who for whom it might not be a good fit for?
So I think it's probably going to be most helpful and get the most ROI whenever you're at the cusp of moving to another level. The jump from a senior PM to an L6 at one of the FANGs is really, really difficult and tough to navigate. And it requires you learning how to present yourself and your experience in an entirely different way. I don't have too many thoughts about like user personas that are different from mine, just because like it's been a while. I've forgotten what it's like to be a new PM.
Got it. Yeah, perfect. So it's somebody who's trying to figure out how do I jump to that next level, whether it's L6 at Google or whether it's another company for whom it's very good fit for. Cool.
Yep.
Any last messages for folks before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, take care of your mental health, and like it's okay to not be okay. I mean, like, I'm pretty cognizant that I had all the advantages in the world. Like, I was coming from Google. I had 5 years of AI ML experience, didn't have kids, had 9 months of severance, and I was still pretty stressed out and like miserable at certain points. I'm really happy that I was honest with myself and like got some help, and I think I'm a better person for it.
Thank you so much, Miles, for sharing your experience with everyone who's watching. Appreciate it very much. And it's
Sure, sir.
working with you.
Thanks, Sobit.